Yes, 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 it's another beautiful Wednesday night. Oh, fuck, I left the back button on. Let me fix that. Yes, it's a beautiful, 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 wonderful, stupendous Wednesday night. We've got an amazing show lined up for you folks this evening. I'm out of breath. I was dancing because I love my song. If your song doesn't make you dance, then you don't love it. Catch my breath. God. What are we drinking tonight? What are we drinking tonight? We are drinking a classic. I call this the fall classic. I fuck my words up. I can't word tonight. But this is the equivalent to a pumpkin spice latte for an alcoholic. It is a Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Oh, yeah. Smells delicious. It tastes delicious. And I'm going to ingest maybe 2, 3, or maybe even 4 of these this evening. So good to see so many familiar phrases. Let me try this again. So many faces. Fuck, who needs the words? So many familiar faces. There we go. Good Lord. It only took me like 3 or 4 times. Did I mention this is not a child-friendly stream? So if you're under the age of 16, please check with your parent or local laws and regulations whether or not you can actually participate in this stream. All righty, let's go ahead and start from the very, very top and just greet everybody. We got Go Play Online, Leonard Ogilvy, Eddie Nunez, Nick Schrager, Just Me Hops in the chat. See London Nard, B-Man FPV, said he was drinking tonight. We got Brad Alston from River City RVA. See Capture Live Connection here. Sergio from Fly Zone Drones, Quadcopters in Tech, Michael Belshi. Matt's Drone World, JFPV. Got Lauren Donner, Uncle Lauren Donner in the house. Brad Henderson. I see a lot of members of the channel. We got G-Wiz. That's a really cool name. It's from Hawaii. We're going to talk about Hawaii. I see Sergio from Fly Zone Drones in the house. Got Invincible Storm Films. Just sounds epic, doesn't it? Invincible Storm Films. Got Mike Hemrick, Air 2S Army Out. That's what he always says in his comments. Big Water UAV Solutions, Air Fox Photography, and so many other fucking people. There's so many people in the chat tonight. It's a wonderful, stupendous night. We've got an amazing show for you. We've got a wonderful, stupendous guest this evening. If it starts snowing in a warmer climate after this guest makes his appearance, you'll likely know why. If you know anything about the lineage of this channel, well, then you would know what that's all about. Anyways, let's go ahead and bring in producer Paul. Producer Paul saying no. Producer Paul is in plaid. He's not prepared. Should I fire him?
I'm ready. What are you talking about? I'm just messing with you.
Is the Brandon ready, Paul? There we go, Paul. Ready. Good job. Good job, Paul. I really wish my biggest wish for 2021 is that not world peace, but I wish that OBS could figure out how to bring people in so I can actually have like proper transitions and stingers and all that.
I would like them to have like, it's weird. Like when you, I don't know. I feel like they should have like some sort of a transition when you press, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Exactly what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Some transitions, some stingers. That would be wonderful. It feels good to be back home in the studio.
Oh, man.
Feels good, huh? It's a normal week. It's a normal stream.
I mean, what happened in Vegas? Stays in Vegas?
Yeah, but nothing happened in Vegas. It was actually pretty boring, to be honest. Actually, the last night I was in Vegas was the best night. So the last night I was there, I met this guy who's been following me for a little bit. He's CEO of a company out of Texas. His name is Adrian Doko, and holy shit, we had an amazing time. Met him at the demonstration the last night of the event. We went to this demonstration, and he's like, I want to take everybody out to dinner. He looks like a mob boss, right? He's like, let me take everybody out for a real good time. I'm going to show you out in the town. We're going to do Vegas. We're going to do Vegas right. I said, I don't know. Sounds pretty dangerous. He goes, no, it's great. You're going to go. We're going to go to the Bellagio. We go to Bellagio for dinner. Holy shit. It ruined my experience. Every other restaurant I've ever been to. Every other restaurant, it just ruined it. It was good food, really good food. I had a lot to drink that night, and we had to be up early for a flight, which we made our flight, thank God. So there's that, but it was an amazing time. He is a hospitable host. I can't thank him enough for that evening. That was amazing. We were like right on the lake at the Bellagio. It was freaking amazing. I mean, the only thing missing would have been strippers if none of us were married. So there's that.
Nothing happened at this event.
What's that?
I thought you said nothing happened at the event.
Well, nothing but that happened. That happened, but then nothing else happened. But then there was 2 more things that happened that were redacted. I lost my debit card. So
I remember that seeing that, hearing that.
So stupidest thing is I dropped my debit card. I was buying lunch somewhere, and I had it wasn't even my debit card. It was my business card. So I dropped my business card, and wouldn't you know it, there's just not an honest soul on that strip. Instead, they tried charging it for like $2,000. And the bank immediately like went, whoa, time out. Why are you trying to charge us for $2,000? And I'm glad they caught it, because they caught it so fast. And I was like, wait a second, did I lose my? So I look at my wallet, because I have my wallet on the back of my phone. So it's easy for things to pop out of there, which I should probably reassess how I store my credit cards. But anyways, they blocked it. It was no harm, no foul. So that was a good thing. So if you have Chase, way to go, Chase.
I have gotten one of these new wallets, and like this is supposed to be like the money clip right here.
Okay.
And I'll never ever again. I put a $20 bill in there, and I don't know. I think I was going to McDonald's or something and getting like breakfast one morning, and it just like I went to pull it out to order, and then I noticed later in the day that it was gone. So I think that's where it fell out. I'll always just slide it in this little thing here now.
Yeah, I gotta, I keep it in this, and I mean, this has not failed me thus far. I mean, it's been pretty. There was a couple times where I was really drunk, and that my wallet fell out in the like I was getting in an Uber and it fell out, but then I was like, wait a second, where's my wallet? You have a moment of panic, and then you're like, oh shit, where's your wallet? And then you find it. I gotta stop doing that. God, I gotta stop doing it. I just gotta leave everything home when I go out. This is an expensive week. This is the most expensive week in tech. If you are somebody who's an Apple fan,
I'll say if you're an Apple fanboy.
If you're an Apple fanboy, it's an expensive week.
Fanboy, aka Eddie freaking Nunez.
He's not going to buy that. He's not going to buy the R3. He's not going to do it. He's got a child on the way.
He already bought it. It's on pre-order. It's already coming to his place.
He makes me sick. He just makes me sick. And then there's another thing. If you're somebody who flies FPV, you should be pretty excited, because tomorrow, the Hero 10 releases. You can actually pre-order. I think you can order the Hero 10 tomorrow. Last year when I ordered the Hero 10,
really?
Yes, Hero 10 releases tomorrow, and we should have it on our hand. Like last time, it got to me in like 48 hours. It felt like it shipped super quick. So have your credit card ready. That's going to probably launch about 10 a.m. You should see a flurry of new videos on that tomorrow. I'm not releasing shit tomorrow because I don't have the Hero 10, but I want it. I'm going to buy it.
Thank you, T. Grady. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you so much, Pete Grady. TJ Grady. Fuck. I'm just drunk.
I mean, you couldn't even say what you had a hard time saying before I got into the show.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I have a hard time saying all the things. My guess is the Hero 10 is going to be $449 at release. So Hero 10, $449 at release. It's looking like 4K 60, obviously, 5K up to 60 frames per second, which is an improvement over last year. Last year, it could do 5K at 30 frames, but I don't care about resolution. I don't want 5K. I want bit depth. Give me a 10-bit action camera. Give me an action camera with better color science.
Which you think wouldn't be too hard because the sensors are so small, right? I mean,
you would think like give me an action camera with a 10-bit sensor. And you know what? I don't want GoPro's flat profile. Give me a freaking log profile. I want an actual true log profile from GoPro, which they've yet to deliver. Like they have still not delivered that, which it's insane because they have competitors like DJI doing this. They have competitors like Insta1 doing a true flat profile, a true log profile. I want something like that. That is what I want out of that camera. And the reality is the vast majority of people, they don't want things to go slower. Like who cares about 240 frames per second? Yes, it's cool. It's a cool parlor trick. But after that initial point of that, settles in, I don't think it's really all that exciting. I don't think it's all that exciting anymore. So I would love to see 10-bit, maybe a stronger glass, because the Hero 9 glass wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best.
So I heard something interesting from Russ. He says that the touchscreen is terrible. How do you feel about the touchscreen? Do you think GoPro's touchscreen
is terrible on what? Who said that?
The GoPros.
I don't think the touchscreen's terrible for what they do. I've never had a problem with the touchscreen.
Whatever. I mean, Russ from 51 Drones said he had his recent video. He recovered like a session or whatever that's been like under ocean for 4 years. But he said that he said the one thing he hates about the GoPros has been like the touchscreen. And I don't.
But the problem is with Russ, he doesn't have a soul. So if you don't have a soul, it doesn't know you're actually pressing any buttons.
But I don't know. He said that he likes the Hero 7, so he's hoping that
he's a weird guy. He's just a weird guy.
I'm interested to see what they do. I mean, I don't know.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's bring in our guest this evening.
Oh yeah.
Paul, go ahead and switch the branding. I'm going to bring in the guest because this is a good one. This is a long time.
1, 2,
4. Oh, there he is.
That's what StreamYard should do. Without having to
do. It should time. That was tag team action right there. Ladies and gentlemen, without further hesitation, I present to you DRONEXFACTOR.
Hello.
What's going on, man? How's it going? What are you drinking?
Good.
What are you drinking there? Are you drinking a morning tea? What do you got there?
Harney and Sons.
Okay.
Yeah. It's some kind of tea. I don't know.
All right.
Probably ginger or something.
It sounds delightful.
It sounds a lot healthier than beer. That's for sure.
Yes, it's definitely a lot healthier.
Yeah, I don't drink, so.
Okay,
that's
this
good for
is
you.
the best I can do.
I'll tell you what. I will drink for both of us.
He'll drink for all of us.
I'm a degenerate. So there's that. So X-Man, what have you been up to, buddy?
Just working, hanging out, chilling, enjoying life.
I hear you. I see you've been flying a lot of FPV as of recent.
Oh boy.
How's that going for you?
I'm so jealous.
Oh my gosh. I am loving it. Thank you, DJI. Thank you so much.
So is that how you got into it? You bought the DJI, the FPV drone, and you never looked back, and it's gotten you hooked on FPV. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I always wanted to get into FPV, but when I look at videos, in particular, not only Ken's video, but everyone's video, and then when Ken got into it, I was like, you know what? This is it. I'm going to get into it soon. Let me watch a few of his videos. And then I'm looking at your videos, and you're saying stuff like Crossfire. I'm like, oops, you lost me there.
Yeah.
Air unit. I'm like, okay, you lost me there. What are all these things?
I got a tuna drone. What are you talking about? I've learned all the lingo as doing this live stream and having so many FPV guests. I kind of know what they're talking about now.
But you're right. Like, it could be.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
It's overwhelming at times, right? You know, you got all these like little subcategories in FPV itself. And I think that's what the people who have been doing it long, they don't understand is like, okay, you've been doing it for a while, but unless you bring on more interest, the hobby tends to fizzle, right? Because as they lose interest, it's just like anything. Unless you're bringing in, I hate to use the term fresh meat, you're not going to have anything to feed the hobby. So you need to have more people come in. But there's sort of like you get lost in translation sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think too, once you jump in, it's like there's so much information and then you're so hungry, you just kind of eat through everything and then you leave everyone else in the dust. Like, okay, all the little things, the small things that we take for granted, it's so important, especially when you're coming from the DJI world, because it's all just gibberish.
It really is. It really is. I think that's what lost me. I was really confused. It took me weeks. I think it was when COVID first started. I got obsessed with it because you weren't going anywhere. We weren't traveling. We weren't doing anything. We were home all the time. Restaurants were closed. So I'm like, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna learn this shit. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna figure it out. And there was a part of me that wishes I didn't because, damn it, it's expensive, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. One thing that also holds me back from doing it. I just can't. I mean, there's no way I'd be able to probably afford.
A lot of people think it's cheap compared to the DJI FPV. When I got that, within the first 2 weeks, I used refresh twice. That was like almost $500.
That was my next question for you. I was like, how long do those things last for you?
But the DJI drone has actually been cheaper in the long run for me, because in 2 weeks I crashed. I blew $500 to get it fixed. Right? I didn't know that the refresh was just like to cover their asses in case you totaled it to dust. They want to make sure they cover their cost of what it costs to build a drone for them. I should have sent it in and just gotten it repaired. That would have been cheaper. But I don't know. I broke all 4 arms, so I don't know if it would have been cheaper or not. But $500 within the first 2 weeks, that was the DJI FPV. And then when I got my first real FPV drone, I got the bind and fly because I'm not doing the whole build thing. I still haven't built anything yet. That costed me to get started about $600 or $700. I figured, that's not bad. And then over the course of 3 weeks, I blew like $800 easy on one drone.
That's insane.
One drone. I mean, I fried motors. I fried motors like there's no tomorrow. Like motors were going like I couldn't understand it.
And when when you fried them, you shipped them off back to the person, the company you got it from, and they
I learned how to fix it. I am not sending anything to fix. But one motor is like $20-something for one motor.
They're average of $25. You're running the Ladrib motors on that, so they're about $25 a pop.
Yep, and they would fry. I mean, turtle mode. I'm like, no, I'm not getting up. I'm not walking for this thing.
Really?
Turtle
they
mode,
would fry?
flap. It flips like 5 times. I can't get it to turn over. Before you know it, comes back. It's
funny. I didn't use turtle mode like for the first 4 months I was learning how to fly. None of my quads were equipped with turtle mode. So when I would flip over, I would walk over to where it was and grab my quad. I wasn't using it. I just now, like, I'd say probably 5-6 months in, I started using turtle mode, but I've only ever burnt out a motor one time using turtle mode. That was one time, but I mean, I was really like in a bad spot. I was stuck. And if you keep trying and trying and trying, you're going to eventually burn them out. But I mean, you got to be stuck, you know?
The other thing is too, I don't like to clean drones. So if you look at my FPV drone, you're probably going to be like, oh, what the heck is that thing? Like, I don't clean it.
Okay.
Period. Like, if it's got mud on it, I'll fly it with the mud till the mud flies out. I don't touch. I don't want to do anything. So if something's broken on it and I don't have a screw, I'll find a nut, a hex, something, patch it
Ken's
up,
wife
fix
said the
it.
same thing about him. He's a dirty man. Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny though? You can get the screws and all the shit. Like you can go on there. They're the hex head nuts. You can find them on Amazon. I bought a kit, like a little kit with all different sizes, and that actually works when I'm missing something on the FPV drone. I'll just like once in a while glance over. Because what I noticed with that drone more than any other drone, shit rattles loose. Little nuts and bolts rattle loose, and you got to constantly check the bolts on the motors. I noticed, because if you don't, they just come loose.
Yeah,
and that's
I
how
don't
it
have
breaks.
any problems. I don't have any problems with my motor screws, but the frame screws, when I smash, like I hit cement or I hit hard, like into the dirt, like 6 inches, quads buried in, probably the frame's gonna start shaking. And
Gotcha.
Thankfully for me, the screws damage, but the threading on the frame has never damaged.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is rip out the old screws and put in the new screws. But my problem is finding the right length of screws, because I'll find the right size, but it's too long. It goes up, it hits the thing that solders to the motors. The motors solder onto that. What do you call that? Is that the ESC?
Yeah, the ESC.
It hits the ESC and shorts it out. And I'm like, crap, there you go. I got to buy another ESC. That's $65 just from tightening a screw and it went too far up.
You know, I just know, you know, for me, like building them, I try to, one of the things I do is I build them all the same way, right? I have every single quad. I got like 5 quads. They're exactly the same motor, same flight controller, same ESC. And I do them all the same way every single time. So that way I know, okay, if I change X, I know I'm going to get Y out of it. And more often than not, it's pretty close. It's like soup to nuts type of thing. And it works good enough. But I noticed like a lot of people when they start flying, or at least on YouTube anyways, they build a shit ton of different quads. They buy a bunch of different quads. And when you do that, sometimes those little odd things like that will tend to happen. I don't know why that is. Not really sure why that is. But I try to keep everything consistent best I can.
Yeah, I have one drone, and basically if anything breaks on it, I pretty much have a spare part for everything.
Gotcha.
So I'll just replace whatever breaks. Other than that, I only see myself buying a replica. I don't want to deal with different versions and different.
No, stay the same. If you're comfortable with the way something flies, I always say stay with the same thing, because it builds that consistency. You get familiar with it, and it's different than like a Mavic or an Evo or something. Like we can we can start flying an Evo, we can fly a Mavic, and for the most part, they fly the same. The only difference is the camera is going to be a little bit different, but overall they handle the same. There's a bit of a safeguard, but when you start dealing with like FPV in specific, they handle so different. They handle so different. So you got to be consistent. I think that's the biggest problem I see a lot of people is they don't keep consistent. But something I wanted to talk about topic tonight is that we haven't seen the best drones of 2021. I don't know if you've been following along, but I just saw today X Dynamics is now releasing their Evolve 2 almost a year and a half, almost 2 years later. Almost
Finally.
2 years later, that's releasing. And then we're also getting a chance to see now the V-Copter. That's going to be available for order soon. I have no interest. I have no interest. Yeah, I have no interest in buying one, but that's going to be available. And then, of course, lots of rumors heating up around the Mavic 3. You wouldn't know anything about that, right, X?
No, I don't know anything about the Mavic 3. That's number one. Number two, I don't believe that I don't want the Mavic 3 to come.
Why don't you want it to come out?
I don't want it to come out because I don't believe we need it.
Really?
No.
All right, elaborate on that.
Yeah,
I don't. What am I going to do with it that I can't do already?
Well, I guess I need to word that differently. What would the 3 need to have that you would say, you know what? Holy shit, this is a groundbreaking feature that I have to have. What would you need it to do to say, all right, now it's worth purchasing as my next drone? What would you need it to have? It
would need to have a bigger sensor than a 1-inch.
Okay.
Even if they have to make a bigger, I don't think you're going to fit a Micro Four Thirds in a portable.
You don't think so?
Folding drone.
No. I think you could fit one. You shoot on Micro Four Thirds cameras. You've seen how, like, the sensor is not big. I mean, what are you shooting on there?
Do you see the size of this thing?
Yeah, man. I think you could fit that in a Mavic, maybe. Like, but think about it. Look at the sensor. If that lens came off, does that lens come off?
Yeah.
All right, that lens comes off. Look at the size of that sensor.
What
they can
is
fit
that?
that. I think they can fit that. I can think they can fit that.
What are you shooting on there? What is that?
That's an
This
Osmo.
is yeah, with the X5 camera.
That's like that's
Yeah,
old school.
I've
That's
heard
that,
the X5.
that Osmo was so ahead of its time, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
that camera was ahead of its time.
Yeah, I still use it. Clients don't complain. Nobody complains. It's easy to set up. The crystal sky hooks right on it.
Yeah.
I can get B-roll easily without. I can throw any lens and change it without having to rebalance or do anything. It's just fast.
It just
It
doesn't
just
focus,
works.
right?
I agree though. If the 3 has a micro four thirds sensor, I'm gonna snatch that. Fast.
Well, that's for you. If it has a micro four third sensor, yeah, I've got to go with that.
But they don't have to- but they don't have to put a replaceable lens on there. You know, just because it has a micro four thirds doesn't mean they have to put a lens that is removable or adjustable. They don't have to do that. They can put a micro four thirds sensor on there, or you know, there could be a sweet spot just past 1 inch sensor. We don't know. We don't know what they're capable of doing.
I don't want a removable lens.
I don't want a removable
drone.
lens either. I wouldn't want a removable
I do
lens
want
either.
a zoom lens, and I
zoom
do
lens
want
would be
a
nice.
zoom lens
Okay.
that does not adjust the aperture
So
when
how
it
about
zooms.
this? What about this? What if they gave us a camera? So forget micro four thirds. What if they gave us a tandem 1 inch sensor where one of the lenses is fixed and it has a very small aperture, like let's say an f2 or even like an f1.8, right? And then the secondary lens had the capability of zooming at a constant aperture. So you basically have two lenses on one camera sensor. I think that would be pretty cool. I think that's an amazing compromise. I think that would be something that we haven't really seen yet.
Yeah, but why would you need 2 lenses on one sensor?
Well, if you think about it like this, they couldn't do it previously, right? There was always a reason why they couldn't do it in that size. So it could be, you know, you want a different aperture, that the aperture won't go down, and the zoom something at 1.8, it's just not capable of zooming. You know, there's no telling why they couldn't do it. But I would take something with the dual lens. I think that would be great.
I would take anything that zooms that does not close up my aperture.
Yeah.
I want that. Anything bigger than a 1 inch. It doesn't have to be a micro four thirds, but it does have to be bigger.
You remember the last time we flew together? It was New York City. It was almost 2 years ago. I had the Mavic 2 Zoom. You were flying the Parrot Disco. You remember that? We were at the Korean War Memorial in Jersey, right?
Yes.
So I got a phone call from the FAA about serious about that
I remember
flight.
you telling me this. This is crazy.
About that flight at the Korean War Memorial. Can you believe that shit? Because they thought I was in. Somebody said to them that I was in controlled airspace because it looked like I was flying around the Freedom Tower. But what I had the Mavic 2 Zoom at the time, and I was maybe halfway across the Hudson River there. I was zoomed in on the Freedom Tower. I'll give it to them. It looked like I was close, but if they would have paid attention to the focal length, and I was parallaxing around like the Freedom Tower, that was enough for them to call me. That was my second complaint. And that complaint actually took a longer time for that to clear up than the first flight about flying at night. I couldn't believe that.
But the Freedom Tower is clear airspace.
That's what I said. That's what I thought. But they had to look into the complaint and they had to look into the validity of it. And they went back and they asked me the dates that I flew. I don't know if they were looking at TFRs at the time. And I'm like, well, I posted it 2 days after that flight was taking. I said, that's all I can tell you is like, that's, you know, I don't know at that point. It was 2 years ago. I can't remember yesterday. It was crazy. But, you know, they were nice enough about it. I mean, the reality is, I wouldn't have gotten fined anyways, but it was just annoying because I was sitting there in limbo for about 3 days waiting to hear back from this guy and just hear that everything is cool. Like, give me a green light. And finally I did hear back from him, but it was annoying, you know, at the fact that, you know, any one of our videos, like you fly a lot too, you know, and you're probably in one of the most controlled airspaces in the country.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, at any moment, somebody doesn't like you. They just make a complaint, whether it's real or not, and it just totally stunts you.
Yeah, and could you think it's bad waiting the way you're waiting? Imagine what I was feeling like when I flew and told people to social distance with a
Yeah.
loudspeaker.
How did that go down? Was that more or
Could
less
you?
were you waiting on the FAA or were you waiting on
That was a
NYPD?
nightmare. That
Yeah.
was a nightmare. I had to deal with the FAA. I had to deal with the counterterrorism force,
Oh shit.
right, in New York City. Yes, and I had to deal with the NYPD.
And everything
Three.
ended up okay?
Three.
And everything
ended up okay, but it was basically mercy. It was basically everyone having mercy and just understanding that I was frustrated.
right.
And I did what I did, and they were like, they understood, and they were like, look, the NYPD told me stand down.
Okay.
That was
Fair
that
enough.
was the words. Stand down. If this
Can you
happens to
enlighten
me,
us on this situation
going with
for those
cuffs.
who don't know?
So I guess I'll take it from the beginning. So back when peak of COVID, 2020, I think it was like late April, maybe May
March, April, yeah.
2020. I don't know. It was, so you may have saw it on CBS. There was a video of this drone asking people, it was a COVID-19 task force, and it was asking people to, socially distance, right? Well, that person behind that COVID-19 task force, it was just one singular person. It was X. But
I didn't know that. That's crazy. I saw
it
that
went.
news.
So Paul, what was crazy though is this shit. We post videos like this all the time and like goofy stuff. That shit went viral. Like,
Oh, it did. I mean, I saw on the news.
it went viral. Like, I mean,
Yeah, there was a CBS reporter. He was actually in the field walking his dog, and he said he felt like it was some kind of alien invasion.
yeah.
I didn't know that the speaker was that.
I think what you should have did instead of saying COVID-19 task force, you should have took that opportunity. If you knew you were going to go viral after you said the social distance, you should have did something different.
Subscribe.
You know what you should you know what you should have did, X?
What?
You should have asked for $1 for the Patreon.
Ah!
I'm just saying, man. $1 for the Patreon, just $1. I'm fucking with you.
Listen. You would see New Yorkers throw everything at that drone. That drone would definitely
This
fall
shit
out the sky.
It would be like winding back with toilet paper and throwing it down.
That whole feeling of that being in like an alien movie, all that's out the window. You ask New Yorkers for money, they'll throw everything at you.
That's
so, Xavier, do you have your Part 107?
Yeah. Part 107.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. He's got his 107. And the thing is, I truly believe that if you have your 107, when you're talking to the FAA, they sort of look at things a little bit differently. They don't look at you like just the average Joe Blow knucklehead. When you can tout and spout off rules and regulations back at them, they're like, okay, well, maybe we're not dealing with somebody that just doesn't have a clue. They start looking at you a little differently. And that's when I noticed the conversation change between myself and the inspector for the FAA. The conversation totally changed, totally pivoted once we got past the 107 part, and it was a different thing. It was like, all right, and as you already know, it was like one of those things. Not saying that couldn't backfire on you, but it did make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of questions. For example, seaplanes fly around there. So
Exactly.
The FAA, it was like seaplanes were passing right over. So my immediate response was APAS. That was one of the first drones to come out.
Yeah.
With the APAS thing. What do you call it? APAS, yeah. Not APAS, the one that recognizes all the planes.
That was ADSB. You had
ADSB. That was the first drone with ADSB, and I told him, I said, it has ADSB technology. I did see the seaplane because they went back and looked at all the logs for all the aerial stuff that was passing there. And I said, I saw him. I yielded.
You were pretty low. You were over people. I think you were lower, and you were over where the people were.
I was over the water, right on the edge. Yeah, because you don't want to be over people. They'll throw stuff at you.
Right, exactly. But I think you were safe enough to where a plane wasn't going to be necessarily flying in your trajectory. And I mean, it was
Yeah.
I mean,
and the other problem I had was the news, because the news wanted to make the whole thing into politics. Because at that particular point,
you know damn well anything to do with COVID is going to get politicized.
Yeah, but not only that, it was the year. It's an election year. It's an election year. So Trump and Biden was going at it, and they tried to make this into look like, hey, this guy's using the Chinese drones. It's working. Why doesn't Trump allow it? And I was like, whoa, back up. Don't put me in that. No.
So what you're trying to say is you single-handedly lost him the election. I'm messing with
China.
This is a mess right now. No, but I can understand how that was taxing. I mean, I guess you don't really know how those situations go down until you're in that until you're in that situation. You're getting grilled with all these different questions. It's not fun. It's not fun. I don't wish it upon anybody except for the guy that made his son hang from that DJI Agra. I wish the worst upon that gentleman. That was the stupidest shit I've seen.
That really bothered you?
It did, because these crafts they're fragile. You know what I mean? Like when you're hanging from these, especially like one of those agricultural drones, they're not meant to take off with uneven balance. You know what I mean? They're meant to take off at an even stance. And the way he's grabbing it, if he would have grabbed it wrong and it would have came down, on him, or those blades would have struck him, those blades on that are seriously no joke. It's crank. That would probably I would see it doing more damage than one of our FPV drones, essentially, because it's a greater mass of what that would hit. I think it was just a beyond stupid thing for him to do as a father. It sounds cool, but like, I don't know, try transporting a cat or your wolf or something. They got a wolf, for Christ's sakes. I should have known as soon as I saw the wolf that this was just going to be one of those. It wasn't Florida, so there's that. It wasn't Florida.
Yeah, so I mean, that doesn't really bother me. It's his drone, his kid. As long as there are no other people around there that can get involved in whatever antics he's doing.
I think it bothers me when you post it like he did. Like he posted it like he did, like it was like, first human drone fight. The problem is I think I would have had a less of an issue if he would have put the disclaimer first. You know what I mean? Like put a disclaimer out there. Hey, don't do this type of shit. You know what I mean? Don't do this type of shit. But you can't almost really blame him, because you've seen like 4 years ago, Casey Neistat's lifting himself through the air with the drone, and it was a cool video, right? It was cool. And, you're sitting there watching that thinking, oh shit, I want to do that one day. But you don't really think like what goes into making these videos. The problem is a lot of viewers, when they watch the videos, all they see is the fun, right? Because you're making a video correctly. All they see is the fun aspect of what you're doing, and they don't understand that there could be a dangerous side to whatever it is that we're doing. That's my take on it. Like,
so what other? I mean, what do you want to see out of a Mavic 3, Ken? I mean, I'd love to hear what you want.
I told you what the fuck I want, Paul. I'd like a zoom sensor. I mean, if they have to do it with 2 lenses, I think that's fine. I mean, I think we're gonna get 2 lenses though. I mean,
I was about to say
images look like they're
you're on that 2 lens thing. I think you know something.
I know nothing.
A little grim.
I think you know something. I think you're acting pretty suspect, man.
So
I think you're.
I think DJI needs to step up their game with Active Track. That's what I would like to see.
Because it's gonna be hard, man. X, you get your hands on a Skydio yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, not the R1. I'm talking about the R2. The
both.
S2.
The 1 and the 2. Yeah.
I think
but the videos.
It's good.
I made like 10 videos. I only published 1.
Why?
Because if I publish the other 9, the FAA is definitely gonna come forward.
Oh, they're gonna come for you.
Like I remember a certain individual. I don't even want to call any names. He put up 1 video, and then before the night was done, he took it down. He got so much heat from the audience, and I was like, "That's nothing." If you see what I was doing with mine, like I can't post it. I just blindly trusted it, and I said, if it wrecks to pieces, I don't care, and it never wrecked. But the amount of
my shit never broke. I don't have traffic like you guys have up in the Northeast. Like I don't have that traffic. Like I've got cows and I've got old ladies walking their dogs and shit. I mean, so worst thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out an old blue-haired woman walking her dog, and I should be like, oh my
Get off my property! You're flying that drone over my property. Well, the air is not really your property, but yeah.
Exactly. I had to think that I have a sound effect for that. But you took care of that, Paul. Thank you. You did that really quite well.
Eddie says I was flying Mavic 3 at Flushing Meadows. No way. Let me make this quite clear.
Eddie says
DJI. The only time I hear or see from DJI is if I get mad and I throw something out there and it's really bad.
Yeah,
it creates a really bad reputation.
You do.
For them.
You
That's
do.
The
You
only time I
create
hear
a
from
ruckus.
That's the only time.
So would you say you're a troublemaker? You're not a troublemaker though.
No, I'm not a troublemaker. I would just say when I get upset, whether I'm right or wrong,
you're a passionate person,
and that camera is rolling, whatever emotions I'm feeling, that's gonna come out, whether it's right or wrong, right? So, and sometimes it hurts their brand, and then they reach out to me. So if anything, I'm probably on a blacklist. Like
blacklist.
No, they don't have that. They don't have that.
Well, I don't know, but maybe I'm just.
I mean, I'm sure there's a list of usual suspects that they're probably like, you know what? Don't ever work with these people. Don't ever work with these people. I'm sure there's a list, like, you know what I mean? There's got to be a list out there where people.
That's
are
what I'm
just
calling the blacklist. That's,
yeah, okay.
I've got to be on that list.
You may be on that list. You may be on that list. I mean.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of good. You know, I look at it this way: for every negative that we do in a company, there's always going to be a positive spin of something, right? There's always something that's going to turn out positive. But usually the negatives don't come out until we start using the product for a little while. That's why people get so mad. They're like, "How come your opinions changed?" Well, I've used the product for now 3 months, and this, and this happened, and I don't really like it as much as I did. Like the smart controller was a prime example. Did you get your hands on a smart controller?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
No, the guy sitting next to you, the guy Paul there. Oh no, Did you get one, Paul? No, you didn't. Paul, you didn't have one.
I only have the Altel now.
The Altel's good. I like the Altel.
I'm definitely not going to get an Altel smart controller because that's just crazy. But yeah, I have no problems with the Altel, and you know, I don't know. I isn't the new one they just released with the carbon fiber. I mean, that thing looks sweet.
Yeah,
let me tell you something.
What's that?
If there's one drone I would love to have right now, I really can't fathom how you are not taking that Enterprise drone out every single day.
I do.
Literally. Because if I had my hands on that thing.
No, I've been flying the hell out of it. I've been filming and like testing all the different components because I'm sort of perplexed with it because the changes that they made are really good. And now that it's got 5.8, 2.4, I noticed that the transmission at a distance is really, really consistent. Like I used to get breakup, or I would get like spots where it'd be like it would lag. Like all of a sudden you would get like this like jump, like wait a second, I dropped the frame. You don't get that anymore. It's really good. And the other thing is I noticed the battery life. Now this could be a subject of the new motors or possibly the larger props, but I noticed that the battery life is a hell of a lot more consistent. I'm getting damn near like 36 to 40 minutes of flight. They rated it for 45.
With what payload? With which payload?
So that's camera? With no payload. That's with no payload. So 36 to 40 minutes with no payload. If I put the beacon on top, I'm down to about 32 to 34 minutes of flight, depending on the wind. Anything above that, speaker. Now the speaker, I gotta say, I take you this: the speaker doesn't kill the battery until you start using it. It doesn't kill the battery, so you can be okay with the speaker being on there. But if it's really windy, it'll kill the battery life. The light, forget it. The light's going to drain the battery quicker than hell. I mean, there's just no way around it. But the light is bright. I would say the light's brighter than the DJI Enterprise, and the speaker is a lot clearer than the DJI Enterprise. That's just from what I've seen in my testing. And that's also asking law enforcement what they thought of the speaker, what they thought of the drone itself. They're like, holy shit, that's louder. So I believe them when they say it's louder. They're telling me it's louder. So I agree with that.
Hey, the strobe light is 3 nautical miles.
3 nautical miles, yeah, on the strobe, yeah, 3 nautical miles, and you can dim it. So if you don't want it to be super bright, you can actually dim it down. So if you're like near, let's say you're flying at night and you're in proximity where you can actually see it, you can dim that strobe down if you had to. So if you want to dim it down enough to where you can still maintain line of sight, you can dim it. But you know what? That strobe actually works really well. I like that. Like I was flying the other night and I had it on and I'm like, damn, this actually is convenient. And I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it affecting the photos, and I didn't notice it affecting the video. Like maybe if I was next to a building that was glass, you can sort of see it flashing, but it wasn't overly distracting.
Yeah, that's super cool because you could leave that on.
Exactly.
You can take that drone with you day or night, and you don't have to remember, oh, did I bring the light? Did I forget to strap it on? I can't fly at night.
Here's the funny thing. They should have made that permanent. That strobe light, I think, should have been a permanent fixture on the drone, because when you mount the light on there, when you mount the light on the drone, you no longer are compliant for night flight. So you still have to mount an auxiliary beacon on there, because the light that you have, the spotlight, doesn't count. I don't know, because it doesn't flash, it doesn't strobe, so it doesn't count. That was one of the questions I asked the one agent, and he said, no, you still have to have a strobe light. Even though you have a light that's definitely visible, it still has to strobe. That's compliant with their regulations.
Yeah, that's an airspace thing. If you notice, all the helicopters,
exactly. They all have
that
the
flashing light.
Exactly.
Somebody was asking about how the price of the new Evo 2 Enterprise. Is it the Evo 2 Dual, the $10,000? Is that what it is?
So yeah. So when you start looking at the Evo 2, most of them are going to be a dual. So most of them are going to be a thermal drone, but you can buy it with just the 6K sensor. Or let's say if somebody has the Evo 2 6K, they bought the Evo 2 Enterprise and they just really want it. They want it as a 6K drone. They can swap the payloads over. You can swap them. I wish they were a little easier to swap, but they're going to get there. One day I think we'll see some clip-on units from Autel.
Yeah. The ADS-B still doesn't work yet?
ADS-B still is not working. Not to what I've seen. I've even updated the software. I've updated everything. It's just not functional.
Okay. So I'm going to add it on board. What's that?
Super Deluxe. Amazing FPV pilot.
I'm going to add onboard strobe light to the Mavic 3. It must come with a strobe light built in for night flying, because it's legal now. That shouldn't be an add-on thing anymore. It should have strobe lights built in. So that's a must.
Everything, commercial-wise already ships with the strobes. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't really catch myself flying very often at night anyways. I mean, it's super rare. I have to be in like an urban environment where like I'm trying to, capture some photos or something like that. I don't really fly often at night. When I first started flying, I used to fly at night all the time. But now I'm just like, it's just, I mean, I'll fly like sort of sunset, but that's about it. That's about it.
I love flying at night because there's lots of lights everywhere here in the
scenery,
city.
Though. You've got scenery to do it. I don't have unless I go to Tampa, which is like 30 minutes south, I don't have any scenery. And even still, the scenery gets spent up really quick because we have like 8 buildings. It's not like a major city. It's not like a huge metropolitan area. It's pretty small. Now, if I go to Orlando, it's a little bigger, but it's still small. Now, Miami, that'd be cool as shit to fly, but I'm afraid I'd probably get killed there. So I'll stay out of Miami. But I mean, there's just not a lot of scenery at night, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, if DJI doesn't come good with this Mavic 3, then I'm looking at the Evolve 2, because my Inspire, I'm getting ready to replace it. It's old.
I'm surprised they didn't reach out to any of us. I don't think they will. You know what? I think Evolve, I think X Dynamics is afraid to reach out to influencers, because I remember when it first came out, they took us all out to dinner and they were super jazzed about this drone, and it's going to come out in 3 months. You all are going to get them in your hands to test. And then I remember last year we did a conference call with X Dynamics, and we're like, okay, it's coming. 2 months later, drone never ships. And then I saw that the person working for their marketing team left, and then they were still posting things. They hired new people. I think they're afraid to have influencers working with them because they're afraid of any sort of negative publicity. That's what I truly believe. They don't want to work with influencers because they're afraid of negative publicity.
Yeah, I think they've got it right though. That drone, from what I see,
I think they got it right, but I just don't think they
got
have
it
the
right.
marketing or timing.
Yeah, my
I
only concern with that is the range. I need range. That ground
the
station
range is
has to
actually
have
pretty
PGI
good.
range.
The range is actually pretty good. They're using a cinema. They use it for cinematography to be able to pull the video back for the director of photography to be able to see what's happening on the cameras. And the latency is like, it's almost real-time latency. It's really good latency. And the last time I checked, it was like a 10-mile range that they had on these units that they were using in their drones. Now, I don't know what the controllable range is. That's the difference, though, because controllable RC range versus video range, two different stories. But from my understanding and what I saw at CES, the latency was really good. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you even do it with the Mavic Air 2S. If you do like this with your hand, you'll see that latency. Like, you know, it's prevalent, right? Because you knew it was real time. But I was doing that with the X Dynamics, and I wasn't seeing that sort of, like, you couldn't see any sort of latency. But I don't know if they've improved on that.
I don't mind the latency. It doesn't bother me because for cinema, you don't really need the latency like FPV. But I need OcuSync 1 range, OcuSync 2 range, or OcuSync 3. Anyone, I'll take those.
I'll settle for OcuSync 2 range. I'll settle for OcuSync 2. Just an OcuSync 2 experience, I would settle for. I'd settle for that. That would be more than enough for me to be happy, I think, with their system, their camera. I think anyways.
Yeah, I think their problem is sensors. The way it looks like to me, like they have this one unit and they just can't get the sensors yet to hit mass production, and that's why they've just been making videos.
You know what? That's the thing everywhere. Everywhere is having some sort of shortage. We see it in FPV. There's chip shortages and there's all sorts of goofy things happening. It's twisting people's hands. I've been waiting on Caddx Vistas, like the low latency Caddx Vista, not the polar shit, but the low latency Vistas. And as soon as
they're available now. They're available.
No, not the Vista, not the Vista. The air units were available. I don't use the air unit. I use the Vista.
Oh, well, this is shipping with the air unit and the camera. You have to buy the whole complete thing. Probably you could pull the air unit off if you don't want it.
Yeah, I could pull the air unit off. It's just like, what's the point? I just spent like $180 for this air unit. Sort of sucks.
It's $199 now.
Yeah, so that's the air unit itself. I want the smaller one. I want the square, the Vistas, because most of my quads, that's all I run in them, because you can run straight 6S right to that, and you don't have any issues, and it's perfect. That's all I've ever ran. But I'm hoping that DJI starts pushing out, you know, updated versions of that. I'd love to see them expand on that. They have a great thing there, and they're just they haven't done shit with it, really. Unfortunately, they haven't done anything with it, which sort of sucks. But we'll see. We'll see if they do anything.
I'd love to see a new DJI FPV drone, something small, something cinematic.
They can't make the same mistake though. They can't use plastic. You know, if they're gonna do it, it's got to be out of something that's a little less breakable if it crashes, because they should have known that right out of the gate. I mean, hey, this was a good try. This was a good first try. It got a lot of people interested. But if you're going to do it again, you need to make something that is not going to be so apt to break if it crashes. You know, it's got to be.
I need one thing from somebody. I need somebody to tell me, where can I find power if I remove the cover at the top of the DJI FPV? Because I want to solder a hot and positive and negative onto the board.
For what?
Plug it into a naked GoPro.
So run it right off, run it right off the back portion. If you take that little heat sink off, actually you don't even have to do that. Right on the back side, where the positive and negative cable is, just solder right to that. Just add 2 little blobs of solder and pop that. Boom! Right there's your.
And that will run straight to a naked GoPro.
Well,
that would be perfect.
Well, here's the problem though. You have to run a BEC. You have to run something to step that voltage down though. You're going to need like from a 32, you're going to have to step that down to 5 volts. So you have to step it down to 5 volts because that's 6S. You'll blow the GoPro right up. So you have to step it down to 5 volts. So you're going to need a little.
I think my GoPro comes with a board. My naked, the Get RC.
I know it comes with a board, but make sure
it's not going to do it.
I don't think that's going to do it, because if it's not capable of handling 6S input, then you'll blow it right up.
Yeah, I got to double check that.
So, but I just think you can make it.
I think that DJI FPV with a naked GoPro on top of it, you've got the perfect.
Have you tried it? Have you tried it with a non-naked GoPro? Have you just
yes.
gave it a go?
Yes,
dude, it works perfect. That's all I use, man. That's all I use is my helmets. They work fine. No vibration, no problem. What problem are you having?
Mine makes a very, very, very awkward sound. It does not like my Insta360 one inch.
Okay.
It does not like my Hero 9. It does not. It just sounds different, and I feel it when I fly it.
Do you have the prop adapters on there?
No.
Dude, prop adapters, send it. It's the prop adapters made a world of difference for me. Absolutely made the world of difference when I switched over to the prop adapters and let me choose different props. And you sort of mix and match the props a little bit to try to figure out what works best. Right now I'm using the Ethics P4 props, and they work amazing. I have had zero problems with those, and I don't have any errors on the screen. The motors don't get hot, and I beat the shit out of it.
You don't feel the difference when you're flying with that GoPro on top of the DJI FPV? You don't feel the difference at all?
I mean, I know it's there, but I don't really feel it. Like you just adapt to it. Like, I don't know, man. I'm weird like that. I can adapt to those things. I know that something's there. I know what it can't do. I know that it's not going to be able to dive straight down, but I've never had a problem with like it making any noise. If it's making noise, man, there's probably a problem with the motor or something, and I would probably send it in for them to check it out.
Damn. I mean, as soon as I take it off, everything's back to normal.
What type of GoPro mount do you have on that?
I have a small rig.
That's your problem.
A small rig that sent me a whole kit.
And is it TPU? Is it TPU? Is it flexy? Like sort of has some flex to it?
It has some flex to it, yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So what I found out in like when we first started designing a GoPro mount for the top of the FPV drone, I tried TPU first, and it was sort of flexy, and I noticed that the drone was not flying quite as well because the mass on top would slightly move. So what does that do? It fucks with the aerodynamics. You're already sticking a GoPro on this FPV drone, which is going to mess with the overall stability of it anyways. But if you have something that is stable, it's hard. As long as you're using a Hero 6, a Hero 8, or Hero 9, you can run real steady on it and you not have any problems. So my mounts are like, they're hard. I'll send you one. Try it. Message me your address. I'll send you one. Try it, because I swear to you, you'll be like, oh shit, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, Courtney was there with me. He was like, bro, land. That thing sounds funny.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I'm flying.
Dude, I'm telling you. I'll send you this mount. You'll try it, and you're going to be like, oh, shit, I see what you're talking about. Because I heard the same story. People were buying these TPU mounts, and they're like, all right, well, we'll try it. And then they comment back, and they're like, holy shit, that worked. That did the trick. You know, it got rid of the vibrations. It flew a lot more stable. I'm telling you, when you start moving at a speed of like 40, 50 miles an hour, any sort of movement will just throw off the overall stability of that drone. It's not meant to be flown in standard mode either. So people will buy these and fly in standard mode. Should be flying in manual mode if you're going to mount the GoPro on there. That's my thing on there. So
yeah, I don't see the point in putting a GoPro if you're going to fly in standard mode, though. That doesn't really make
exactly
sense.
You shouldn't. You just fly with a normal camera if you're gonna just put a GoPro on there. I mean, we did some cool stuff. We were out there in Newport Beach, and we were using them, and it was great to fly the cliffs. You know what I loved about it was if you lose connection, guess what? It's coming right back to you. You know, you're not going to lose the quad, right? So that was definitely nice.
So my question is, why doesn't somebody put that technology into beta flight? Because
so it's there. It just doesn't work in the same. It doesn't work in the same regard to as like what we're used to. So I have like my Cinelifter. I put GPS on the Cinelifter, and it works. But I don't dare try it still because I don't like. Ethan tells me all the time, you have to trust it. It's gonna work. But I'm like, dude, I'm not flipping that switch with a $2,000 camera on there. I'm not going to lose sight of that thing. I just use it for telemetry so I can see the screen so I know how high I am or where my drone is positioned. But he swears up and down that it will fly back to you But as soon as you get close enough, you have to take control of the sticks again. Otherwise, it's just going to drop right out of the air. So,
did you see Peter McKinnon's video?
I did. He crashed that R3, broke the lens. You know what I'm most impressed about that video is the fact that that camera looks so stable on the FPV drone. It looked so stable. I didn't know that that was the R3. You know, when they were flying it, I'm like, there's no way these motherfuckers are flying the R3. An unreleased camera. You're going to stick it on a, and sure as shit, they stuck it on a drone. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
And I was amazing. They destroyed that lens. Like,
well, the lens is plastic. It's plastic. They're going to break it, you know?
And the camera was, I mean, it didn't look like it had a scratch on it.
I would never do that. Like, not with an unreleased camera. I don't think I would do it with an unreleased
camera.
That
is my biggest fear with FPV cinematic drones is almost every time I fly a DJI or Autel drone, almost every single flight, I lose signal. It's just the nature of flying in the city, right? It happens. You can't, there's just too much interference. So
we built this one and we put a Vista on there. So it sticks out over the top. Everybody who's building these Cinelifters, they're using the air units. So they have an antenna out each side. But what we found was a lot of air units tend to fail. I've had really good luck with these Vistas, but having this single antenna come out over top of the camera, you can get your signal any direction. In any direction this quad is, you get signal. And dude, I've been flying this. I flew it over water. I flew it all over the place, and I've had no issues with it. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, it's a little different out here in the city, though. You lose signal a lot, doesn't matter what you have. So yeah, so that's my biggest fear. I fly, I lose signal, and I often get carried away because if I'm in the heat of things, I just keep going. Like I don't know when to stop. And then before you know it, I lose signal. I'm like, oops. Well,
what are you doing next Saturday? What are you doing next Saturday?
I'll be flying with you guys.
Are you coming? You gonna come out? We're supposed to be doing. We're gonna go to Pilgrim.
Yeah, Eddie sent me the information today.
So I think it's gonna be fun to be able to fly with a bunch of the guys like there. Every time I've come up, I've always wanted to go fly some of these spots, but it's like they're not spots you necessarily should or want to fly by yourself. So to be able to have a group of people out there, I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a good time.
Definitely looking forward to that. I don't have much experience, and then most people who I fly with are like, "You're crazy, dude." Like, I don't fly like anyone because I try not to copy anyone because FPV is so free. It's the freedom of doing whatever you want.
You develop your own style, you know. Everybody, I think that, but you can see it in FPV. People start, you know, borrowing other people's style, and then they mend it, and then it becomes their own style essentially. I think it's gonna be a good time, man. I think it's gonna be fun. But I agree, man. You just fly however you want. There's no right or wrong way to fly with FPV. You know, you just sort of just do what feels right, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Road to Ride Drew. If you saw Drew's last video on his personal channel, oh my gosh, that guy is so smooth.
Oh, dude, he's sick. He's sick.
Oh my gosh, I looked at that and I was just in awe. Like, am I ever gonna get there? Like, if I want to be anywhere,
I think the biggest thing to do is when you're first starting is to just, you got to sometimes ignore those videos. You know, I sometimes feel like when they put those videos out, it's like they're tugging on their own dick. And you know, when you're just starting, you just sort of get your own flow. You just put your head down and find what works best for you, and then you don't worry about you don't really worry about these other guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's got their own flow. But the coolest shit is that you can go fly with people that, you know, like way up here, you feel like they're way over you as far as skill level goes. But at the end of the day, everybody's just having a good time. You know, everybody's just having fun. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares, you know? And I usually learn a lot. Like, I bring my analog goggles with me all the time because most of my guys that I fly with, they're flying analog. So I'll bring analog goggles and I'll watch them fly so I can be a part of their flight. I started bringing the smart controller with me when I fly because that way people can connect up and see what the fuck I'm doing. Otherwise, they don't know. They just don't know, you know? So
yeah, you just hear it, but you don't really know what anybody's doing. It's just like
dude,
noise.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So we got guys, if you haven't checked out Super Deluxe channel, he's in the chat there. Dude, you want to talk about an FPV pilot that's worth watching? Go watch his channel. Like, just really super raw shit. That's what he's on right there. It's freaking amazing content. So check out Super Deluxe. Paul, do me a favor, put a link for Super Deluxe channel in the chat there. Yep. He puts out some crazy shit. Like, there's a whole world of FPV pilots that nobody's ever heard of, and they're just sort of floating around out there. You can learn a lot. So definitely check him out. There's a lot of them, man. I discover a shit ton. So if you guys haven't, like, dude, I watch Bot Grinder's Friday night streams. That's how I discover a lot of pilots, man. I'll sit there and watch his stream, and I'm like, shit, this guy is on like another level. You know, there's just good shit. He does like a Friday night flight, sort of like what we did for the GPS drones, but for FPV. So it's worth watching and checking out, because you'll find a lot of people that you never knew existed on that stream, on that channel. So definitely check it out. But I think that's going to wrap it up. I think it's a good show. X, man, I appreciate you finally linking up. I know your schedule's tough, dude, with work and everything. So I appreciate you being able to come on tonight and chat it up with me. It's a long time coming. You know, I know you and I, we used to have our tiffs. We used to go head to head, and you know, we had our fights, but I think the biggest thing is we've always been able to put our differences aside, and you know, because we're all in this together. Nobody's competition on YouTube. So
yeah, if anything, we need more people, because you know, the whole idea is to keep people in the air, keep people flying, and then there's some people that will relate to you that might not relate to me, and vice versa. And we need to keep everybody. My goal every time I think about making a video now, it's just, how does this video help to keep somebody in the air or get them up in the air?
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing, is keeping people in the air, getting new people interested in the hobby, and get them learning how to fly, because it just expands our reach and horizon. So I agree with that. If you guys didn't hear, I will be in New York on Friday the 24th, and on the 25th we're gonna be flying somewhere in New York. If you're not part of the 5 Boroughs group or the New York City Line of Sight group on Facebook, check those groups out. You can find them if you're in the New York City area. Easiest way to get a hold of us and find out where the meetups are going to be happening. But we're going to be flying around the Pilgrim State Hospital. I think that's what it's called. It's a abandoned insane asylum. We're going to be there. And then November 14th, I'll be touching down in Kona, Hawaii. And we're going to be flying on the Big Island somewhere.
Yeah, you got to link up with 808 State.
Matter of fact, I am going to be a guest of his for 7 days. He's going to have me sleeping at his house on his couch for 7 days. I hope he knows what he's getting. November. So we're going to do drone brews from Hawaii, which is going to be weird.
Aloha, baby.
Aloha, baby. It's going to be at 3 p.m., which is still 9 p.m. Eastern, but we're going to have it at 3 p.m. I'm excited as shit to go to Hawaii, and also I'm nervous as hell because I have to be on a plane for like 8 hours.
Well, that sucks.
That does suck. So
you're going to be busy in November, huh?
No, November's going to be busy. We're going to be going to Spin Up the week before. We're going to be at Spin Up. So Spin Up, Austin, Texas will be the November 6th, Paul. Is that November 6th? So we're doing a lot of traveling in November. So October is the only month I don't feel like we're really doing a lot. So we're flying in. Paul and I are flying into Austin on Friday, November 5th, and then we're going to be leaving Sunday, November 7th. So if you're in Austin, you'll get a chance to see both Paul and myself. November 5th, we'll be there for the dinner, and then we leave Sunday the 7th. So we'd love to what am I saying, Paul? Get a drink with everybody if you're down.
One last thing I wanted to mention that came to mind that nobody's given any love to, and I'm thinking about getting, but I don't know yet. So I want your take on it. Are you getting the Xeno Mini Pro?
Dude, I can't do it. I can't jump on that Hubson. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it because personally, I think it's nothing but
China
shit. Search Xeno. I kid you not. Search Xeno on on YouTube, and you'll find more videos of people talking about how they had to fix this drone than fly it. There's more videos about people fixing it. Listen, for the price that it is, just buy a freaking DJI or even an Autel or anything else. For Christ's sakes, I'd rather see people buy a Unique drone or a Parrot drone. But for the love of God, just say no to Hubsan. That they don't need to be a thing. They don't need to be a thing. They just
I mean, they're trying really hard. They got the obstacle avoidance thing going. I just wish the price wasn't so expensive.
Ugh. If you're gonna spend that much, spend the money and get something quality. Nobody wants to buy a drone and become a mechanic. I mean, that's what I feel. That's what I feel happens every time I see a Hubsan video. It's just like the person's taking it apart. They have to fix it. Hubsan's support sucks. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they can't even do an announcement video right. They can't get their audio correct on their channel. They don't know what they're doing. Nobody speaks any English. I mean, I'm not being negative, but it's just like they just suck, man. They just suck. I know, and there's people that are like, they're just diehard. They will circle jerk the shit out of Hubsan. They will like, I mean, you see them over there like Hubsan Mini, and they're just like banging one out over the Mini. Like they release 5 minis. Like they got the Mini Pro, the Mini Extreme Pro, the Mini Super Deluxe, the Extreme Pro. I mean, not patent pending, but I mean, you get the idea. Like they release a drone. They release a drone instead of fixing the first drone that they released. They're like, we're going to create another drone that fixes the problems that we introduced 3 drones before we announced the first problem that the third drone that we just released yesterday had. Does that make any fucking sense to you? I mean, shit.
I saw Captain Drone's review today.
Captain Drone? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't have any problems. So I guess they're kind of fixing as they're going. I mean, there were some bugs.
Steve is a very passive person, though. I think Steve falls in the middle. I have never seen Steve have a good old rage video. I want to see, like, for once in my life, I want to see one of these larger channels just completely lose their shit on a review. Just lose your shit for once in your life. For would it kill you just to lose your shit and just tell me what you really think? I mean, Christ's sakes. I mean, just lose your shit.
Business. That's not good for business.
I know it's not good for business, but god damn, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. Show me the money. I mean, I want to be entertained. I like when I watch YouTube, I don't care about business. I want to be entertained. I want to be like barely able to wipe my ass because this video is so good I can't get off the toilet. Like I want to be entertained. That's how I feel. Well, we went there. That went there. Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Go check out DroneXFactor. Become a Patreon.
$1.
Come on, give me a good one. Come on, give me the routine. Give me the Patreon routine. Come on, warm up the Vocaloids. Patreon routine in 3, 2, 1.
If you haven't already, become a Patreon. Just $1 and you get access to me. Any questions you have, I'm right here. Right? $1, guys. Just $1. That's all it takes. So go ahead, smash that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe and become a Patreon today. With me.
I want you. I need you. You got me right where you want me, baby.
Damn it! He went. He's not there.
What are you doing?
I was gonna get him. He wasn't wait. He didn't know. Damn. I was gonna get you. I was waiting for you to be all unsuspecting and then throw you out there like that. Like, damn it! You ruined it.
Sorry, I have a tendency to ruin shit.
Yeah, you're just smarter than the average guest. That's all. That's all. All right, guys. The links are down below. Hit the links and make sure if you're not subscribed to X, go subscribe to him. If you're not subscribed to Paul, then you were never. I don't know what you're doing. Subscribe to Paul. His white balance is fixed. And then, of course, if you haven't got your 107, click that link up at the top. Go ahead and start your journey. Pilotinstitute.com.
I know I am.
Yeah, we already started you down that path. Use code Dobo and save. I think it's $100 right now. You can save, but use the code Dobo, and that's it. That's all I got for you. All right, we'll see you next week. Cheers.
See you next week.
I want you, I need you. You got me right where you want me, baby. Ooh, yeah.
What happened to the music?
What music?
The music.
Wait,
It's just
what are you doing?
stopped. It just stopped. That was fun. I think we should do this more often. I feel like we do this stream every week.
It should be a regular thing, right? I mean,
It should be a regular thing. We should stream every week. I think what we should do is when nobody could go to work and stuff, we should just stream every week like this.
what all day? Just all day.
Basically, I just want to stream all day.
Just
But
come
I think
out-
we should
you
stream.
come out in your PJs with a beer and
Yeah, and I'll
just
come out in my
go all
underwear.
day.
I'll come out in my underwear. Paul, I want to thank you so much for me not firing you today. I thought for sure I would have fired you, but you did a good job tonight. You started the stream on time. You ended the stream on time. Your cues were good. Your white balance was superb. It's almost like we've done this before.
I just had one hiccup with my kid turning off the power underneath my desk.
Is that what happened, Paul? Is that what
He
happened?
came,
Gosh darn
he came
it.
in here to say goodnight to me, and then he jumped underneath my table and turned off one of my power strips. I have two, so it turned off all my
gremlin.
lights and everything.
He's like a gremlin.
He's a
Can't
very
give him
much-
water. Can't give him water after, was it like 6 o'clock after dark?
he looks like this, you know.
Paul.
This
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Paul, did you know what I did today, Paul?
What?
We found out the sex
oh
of the baby. We did.
Oh,
Yes. It's in an
Hey,
envelope. It's in
I'm
an
original
envelope.
Dobo right now. You need really
I don't know how you did that. It's in an envelope, Paul. It's in an envelope.
Oh,
I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna buy those. I have an idea. I have an amazing idea for a gender reveal. My wife says it's a terrible idea, but I think it's an amazing idea. And it involves a drone, and it involves explosions, and it involves fire and dragons.
the Dragons is a good one. Yeah,
Dragons, yes.
the only thing you
for
need is a
fuck's
flux
sake.
capacitor, and you'll be good.
That's a fuck's sake. It's just
Go back in time and
if
erase
I end
that.
up with another girl, Paul, I'm gonna be if I end up with another girl and this one's not a boy, I'm gonna be so screwed. I'm gonna be so screwed.
You're gonna be way outnumbered.
I'm already outnumbered. The goddamn cat's a girl. The fish is a girl. I mean, everything. My cameras are girls. Just, I'm pretty drunk. I should probably Uber home.
Probably.
I probably should Uber home. Well, I guess we're just gonna. Paul, I love you. You're amazing. You're okay, Paul.
Sorry. Yeah, he went there.
Oh, shiddly diddly diddly diddly. Ah, fuck it.